Welcome everyone. Let's check out the culmination of a quarter century of US Sumo Open history. This is the 25th annual US Sumo Open, with the biggest attendance yet. Over 4,500 fans packed the arena and some of the most dramatic matchups we've seen to date. Here it is. And just like in the previous year, the great Sekiwake from Pro Sumo Ichinojo is back again. He was ranked among the top 1% of all Pro Sumo wrestlers. He won the Emperor's Cup, and he had the rare accomplishment of defeating 5 different Yokozuna or Grand Champions during his career, including the veritable GOAT, Hakuho. He's here at the US Sumo Open as head judge and special guest. One of the biggest stories at the 2025 US Sumo Open was the proverbial return of Mendee. Now, he's competed the 3 previous years, and he won gold undefeated in 2022, 14-0, and 2023, 13-0. And although he only got bronze last year, he's back again with a vengeance, going for an undefeated record again. Now, he suffered a severe injury to his leg 3 weeks before this competition, was unable to train or barely do any exercise at all, but he really focused as hard as he possibly could, pulled out all the stops to try to defeat this very strong field of heavyweight opponents at the US Sumo Open. Now, in Mendee's matches, because of his injury, he wanted to win these as quickly as possible. He goes in fast, and he doesn't want to spend a lot of time because of the pressure it's putting on his leg. He tries to take the hit, find a good inside position, and then forced his foes out as quickly as possible. And he went through the entire heavyweight division, winning 7 matches in a row. And in the final match, he faces, on the left, Zura from the country of Georgia. You can see Mendee goes forward, but Zura unleashes a lot of slaps, hitting him on the side of the head. Mendee tumbles, and it looks like Zura just got the gold medal. You can see, though, this was contested because Zura is hitting the side of the head, the ears, going for the face intentionally. And technically in international or amateur sumo, these are illegal moves, unlike in pro sumo. So the judges called for a review of the referee's call. And in theory, you could get disqualified for doing those side slaps during a match in international rules. And after much deliberation, it was decided that although they could have disqualified Zura, they're allowing him to do a rematch with a caveat that if it happens again, he'll automatically be disqualified. So, as Ichinojo is showing, there are no side slaps. You can only go forward. You cannot hit the head from the side. And you cannot target the face in amateur sumo. So Zura's going to step back up again and do a rematch against Mendee. Mendee and Zura going head-to-head for the heavyweight gold medal. This was definitely the highlight of the entire tournament. Here they go again. Mendee comes in hard, tries to get as low as possible, gets underneath. Zura is not able to do those big side slaps, and down he goes. Mendee gets the gold medal with an 8-0 undefeated record. So for 3 out of 4 years, Mendee has won gold undefeated. Only last year in 2024 did he fail to get gold. He got bronze, and that was again against a countryman that he lost of Zura. The Georgians were known for those heavy slaps, and this time the rule was enforced a little bit more. Mendee's got to be thrilled. Because of his injuries, though, even after going 8-0, he decided not to proceed with the open weight to try to take some of the strain off his body there. But Mendee now, for the 3 years that he won gold, in 22, 23, and 25, he has a cumulative 35-0 record. And in the other divisions, starting with the men's lightweight, there were really strong fields, mainly foreign competitors dominated. In the men's lightweight, there were some great competitors from a number of different countries, but the standouts were several, including this man, Hatna from Mongolia. Hatna's competed multiple times before at the US Sumo Open, always getting a medal, and you can see why with his great throwing technique. He's in the longer tights there. And he did extremely well, going undefeated in the earlier rounds of the competition. You can see that he likes to take his opponents, grabbing their head there and pulling down. So great techniques all around by Hatna, who ended up with a medal. Another guy is this guy, Seymour, from the country of Azerbaijan. And you can see there it is in the semifinal match. He managed to beat Hatna. And throughout his matches, Seymour was also quite impressive, forcing out opponents with not only strength but great technique. Seymour also went on to the finals. And this man on the left, Mykola, was extremely impressive. He's from Ukraine, and he used almost every technique in the book. Very agile, very balanced. Here he is against Hatna, who he faced in the opening rounds and also later. You can see on the right here, Mykola is facing, from Uzbekistan, Mahmoud, and he gets lower than the smaller opponent and forces him down. So great technique all around by Mykola. Here's the final match. Mykola on the right, Seymour with his back toward us, and Mykola just more aggressive, more energy there, and takes down the veteran Seymour. So the foreigners dominated in the men's lightweight. In the center there, the gold medalist from Ukraine is Mykola. On our left is from Azerbaijan, Seymour with the silver medal, and on the right, the bronze medal goes to Hatna from Mongolia. And also in the men's middleweight, a strong field competed, including 3 Europeans who all got medals, just like in the men's lightweight. We saw the foreigners dominating. Here is Dato from the country of Georgia, forcing out his opponent, and he was quite impressive. Again, taking a hit, getting a good position, and throwing his opponent down at the edge of the ring. And Dato, quite young, but excellent technique. Now here's Saftar from Azerbaijan with the red tape, facing Dato in the semifinals. Saftar trying to lock him up and execute a throw. Dato hanging on, but down he goes, and Dato goes to the third place match. This man, Saftar, goes to the finals. In the finals, he ended up facing Maxim from Russia. Now, Maxim has competed the past 2 years in the US SUMO Open, and he won medals both years, but he has yet to win gold. Here he is in the earlier rounds. Now, he's so tall that as opposed to most sumo wrestlers, he actually lets his opponents get inside position. He likes that because he uses leverage spinning around and kind of deflects their powerful inside attacks. So he ended up defeating almost everyone. Here's the final match with Maxim facing Saftar. Maxim gets a belt grip. Saftar inside, but look at the work by Maxim softening up there, spinning to the side, and using his length to get better pivoting points. And he's celebrating there with a gold medal. 3 years in a row he got medals. This is the first time he got gold. Now, in the men's light heavyweight, there were only a handful of competitors and one foreigner, and he did get the gold undefeated. That's Saba from the country of Georgia. Now, the 4 Americans fought it out for silver and bronze, but Saba was just dominant. So eventually, Michael ended up with the silver medal. Here he is on the right side. And on the left in the white belt is James, who got bronze. So 2 Americans did have a chance for medals here because there were not enough foreigners competing to take over all the medals. But this man, Saba, basically ran a clinic. He went through all his opponents with seeming ease, getting good lower position despite his height, and basically controlling the match from beginning to end. Good belt grip there inside with the left hand, outside with the right hand. And once he gets his head into the opponent's guard, there's not much that can be done. Here it is again, similar technique, great fundamental sumo by Saba from the country of Georgia, going undefeated to win the men's light heavyweight. And moving on to the men's heavyweight, we saw the greatest drama of the tournament with Mendee and Zura going head-to-head. In that final match, Zura did settle for silver, but he went on to do very well in the open weight. But another great performer in the men's heavyweight was Baira, the rather small heavyweight. Here he is, throwing down someone almost twice his weight. Baira is Mendee's compatriot from Mongolia. Here's Mendee showing his stuff that we saw earlier, deflecting his opponent's attacks, getting inside and forcing them out. So a lot of great sumo demonstrated here. Another standout was 617-pound Matthew, a very large opponent there, and he had to put up a pretty good fight there. Zura eventually did beat him. So Mendee did very well winning gold, but there were quite a few standouts in the men's heavyweight. In the open weight competition, guys from all divisions competed together, and there was some pretty cool action here as well. You can see Joey in the white belt, a lightweight, going against a heavyweight, and Barely it gets pushed out there. So lots of upsets and lots of excitement. But one of the big highlights was Matthew on the right, 617 pounds, versus the smallest competitor, Zenon, on the left at 137 pounds. 480-pound weight differential. Can Zenon somehow get inside or get around to the back? But it didn't happen there. Matthew kept him in his sights and forced out the much smaller Zenon. 480 pounds weight differential between those two. So that was definitely a highlight. That's a pretty rare difference in weight between two opponents in sumo. And the Ichinojo prize went to a gentleman named Mahmoud from the country of Uzbekistan. He didn't get a medal, but he was in the semifinals of the men's lightweight despite his young age and relatively small size. But you can see he's had the fundamentals mastered in many ways. He stays low, keeps his knees bent, gets his head inside, and he beat almost all his opponents until he got into the semifinals when he finally lost to some of the medalists. Here he is against the bronze medalist, Hatna. And so great performance overall, great technique there, great fighting spirit. Here he is in the openweight competition. The very small Mahmoud takes down the middleweight U.S. champion, Gabe, with seeming ease. Great dexterity by Mahmoud. And here he is against the much heavier. Again, it's about a 460-pound weight differential here. Mahmoud going for the leg. Matthew has the presence of mind to just lean downward, and Matthew gets a win there to move on in the openweight competition. Another great matchup here was the middleweight champion on the left there, Maxime, who we saw earlier, facing the Mongolian opponent here. And that was definitely exciting to watch. That opponent, Bayra, going on to the semifinals where he beat Saba, the light heavyweight champion. And here, Zura, in the other semifinals, beats Matthew to go on to the final round. Then in the third place match, the light heavyweight Saba takes down a man almost over twice his size, Matthew. Matthew was a little bit injured here. He had trouble getting up and got some medical attention. Eventually he was brought off, but incredible upset there by Saba at about 253 pounds to beat the 617-pound Matthew to get the bronze medal in the men's openweight. Going on to the final match, on the left is Bayra from Mongolia. On the right is Zura from the country of Georgia. They got the bronze and silver medals in the heavyweight. Mendee was ahead of them, but Mendee's not here, and they're both going for gold. Zura with a quick, strong push out, and Bayra settles for silver. They end up with 2 medals apiece, getting medals in both heavyweight and openweight. So very impressive work, and the fans are loving it. So there's the medalists. All of them got 2 medals apiece in their respective divisions. Ichinojo giving out some of the prizes. We saw Mendee earlier win the men's heavyweight in dramatic fashion, but the man he beat, Zura, went on to win the men's openweight. Both guys went home with gold medals. And the most prolific success in U.S. Sumo Open history is this man, Byamba. He competed in 13 U.S. Sumo Opens, 13 years in a row. He won 10 heavyweight gold medals and 7 openweight gold medals, a cumulative record of 110 wins and only 7 losses. 110 wins and 7 losses, quite incredible, but he sadly passed away in 2020, and there's his widow and young son, Benjamin. So Oyaka and Benjamin visited LA for this event. We were happy to bring him here for this special anniversary event. Benjamin, 6 years old, he's 5 days shy of turning 7, and he steps into the ring against the legend Ichinojo. Ichinojo and Byamba actually competed together in the Sumo World Championships on the same team, that is. They were compatriots competing for Mongolia, and now Byamba's son Benjamin gives a shot at trying to push over the giant Ichinojo, who's over 500 pounds. You can see the 6-year-old Benjamin not giving up, and to the delight of the fans, with persistence, he gets the job done, and Ichinojo is having a blast as well. So definitely such an honor to have Byamba's wife and son here at the U.S. Sumo Open after all that Byamba's done for the sport of sumo all over the world, 40 different countries where he participated in sumo events. Ichinojo himself was also a big hit, throwing some prizes to the fans, and he had some special Uchiwa fans that he's signing. A lot of folks lined up post-event, a couple hundred people to meet him, get his autograph, and ideally get a photo with the legend. And the women competitors all had
Ladies and gentlemen,
medals at the Sumo World Championships. Bronze, silver, and gold respectively. They're from the countries of Mongolia, Uzbekistan, and the USA. And although the foreigners dominated the men in all of the men's divisions, among the women, the one woman who went undefeated, beating both opponents in 2 different divisions on multiple occasions, was Kellyanne, USA. She got gold medals in both the heavyweight and the openweight divisions. A lot of drama there, but congrats to the U.S. for going undefeated in the women's division. Lots of upsets, lots of spectacular matches throughout this tournament. The quarter-century anniversary of the U.S. Sumo Open. We're thrilled to have 4,500 plus fans in attendance. And there were some pretty amazing matchups and storylines here. But at the end of the day, we've got to be thrilled about Mendee's undefeated return to the gold medal and the dominance of the foreigners. Let's see if any of the American men can turn it around next year in 2026.